if you're looking for a job, Jay mentioned it earlier in the show, but LinkedIn is the only place you should be posting your job. It is the premier ultimate way to get in touch with employers. And if you're looking to hire for a small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites, so if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And with that, let's welcome in Tricia Whitaker, who is working tonight's Guardians-Twins game for Apple TV. Tricia, how you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, yeah, I've been sitting here listening to you guys for about 15 minutes, actually. How you doing?
Good. Wonderful. We're glad to have you on. Tricia, obviously you've listened to our conversation. It feels like these teams are going in opposite directions right now, and I know you've been studying the teams and you've been watching them closely leading up to this one. What's your take on what's happened to the Guardians, and what's your take on what's going on with the Twins?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Guardians this year have surprised everybody, which has been really cool for me to watch. I'm actually from the Midwest. I'm from Indiana, so I have a soft spot in my heart for Cleveland sports. Grew up watching Cleveland sports too, but I've really enjoyed the job that Stephen Vogt has done. And I think he's just done a tremendous job transforming this team in his first season. And that started with their offense, really. They were, I think, ranked last in home runs last season. They've completely flipped the script in 2024. So I really enjoyed watching what they've done. I heard you guys talking about the trade deadline a little bit. Getting, Alex Cobb was a big get, but I agree with you that if they do not capitalize on what they've been able to do this season, you will kind of look back at that trade deadline and question it a little bit.
Yeah, Tricia, we take a look at your rotation. I've always thought that there was a problem if you had Tanner Bybee and Gavin Williams, they're second-year players, but we're counting on those guys to be the aces of the staffs. Bieber goes down, Tristan McKenzie, he's been up and down, Logan Allen. Do you think that the Guardians can make a deep run if those two players have to perform at a level where they're playing against some teams like the Yankees and becoming a top of the rotation type guys?
I think they can. I don't think it's going to be easy because they always talk about how in the playoffs you need good starting pitching. And, I worked for the Tampa Bay Rays for the majority of the season. And I think the last few years in the playoffs, they've seen their starting pitching maybe hurt them a little bit. So you're right. I think that is going to add an extra challenge to them. But what they've done, I know recently the Guardians bullpen hasn't been the best, but their bullpen this season has been overall pretty good. And then the offense has been phenomenal. So I do think that they can make a deep run. But you're right. That starting pitching is going to be the biggest question mark, as it has been the entire season for them. They have a lot of strengths, but that has been their noted weakness.
I'm sure as you're watching, you got caught up in the David Fry fever like all of us did. It was great to see him play in the All-Star game. He came up with a big hit in the All-Star game. And it was just fun to watch that magical ride because the one thing we love is guys to come from nowhere and all of a sudden just sort of take command of the sport for a little while. He has fallen off probably the last month and change. How pivotal is it for a team like Cleveland to get a performance like that they don't count on, particularly in a year when they lose their ace after the second game of the year in Shane Bieber, and now they're looking around saying, okay, who's going to carry this banner? Can they get it done that way?
Yeah, I mean, you got to rely on those types of guys. I know you talked about David Fry, and he is a phenomenal story. I interviewed him for the last Apple game that we had, actually, and I've really enjoyed kind of watching him and his journey. But, they're going to have to rely on their bread and butter right now, right, which is their offense, and I think that's going to be crucial for them. And I do feel like Stephen Vogt has this team where he wants to have them. And I think that what they've shown throughout the season, that's what's going to give me faith in them in the postseason. You broke up a little bit when you asked that question, so I hope I answered it right.
Yeah, you got it. No, you got it perfectly fine. As you look at things right now and taking into account the way everybody's positioned, the Guardians lead is 3.5. Who are your teams to watch? Give me 4 in the American League. Teams that you think not only can make the playoffs, but can also, they're built to kind of make deep runs in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would put the Guardians right at the top of that list. Obviously, I'm going to put the Orioles at the top of that list and the Yankees also at the top of that list. I think the way that the AL East shakes out is going to be really, really exciting to watch. But I actually am very excited to see what this Twins team can do. And that's why I think this weekend series is going to be, I mean, it's the biggest series of the season so far, and I think it's going to be telling for what these two teams do down the stretch and what carries them into the postseason. So, you know, I think we could talk a lot about the first half of the season for a lot of teams, but I think when it comes to the postseason, sometimes we forget, you know, you look at the history of the postseason the last few years, sometimes the teams that were the best to start the season, they don't go into the postseason with the best momentum. So
right.
I think really this last month and a half is going to be really telling for what they do. But I would have to say the Orioles, the Yankees, the Guardians are up there for me. And as much as it hurts my heart to say, because the Astros are my least favorite team in the league, the Astros and the Mariners, I think the AL West is going to shake out in a very interesting fashion as well.
You know, Tricia, last year, you take a look at what the Rangers did. They came out of nowhere, won the World Series, and like, who? I don't even know who the Rangers got. Like, can you pick out a team? Is there a team you see that could be a dark horse candidate that, you know, like we not paying too much attention to them now, but come October they could be one of the teams like the Angels and say, wow, they got hot at the right time and did it.
You know, I love that question because it's literally my favorite storyline every September is which team did we not pay attention to during the regular season that's going to make a run? And I'm actually going to go with the Mariners. I've covered them a little bit recently, and I'm going to go with the Mariners because I know everybody talked about how the Astros started the season really slow and they weren't good to start the season, and now look at them, they're at the top of the West. But I don't think anybody is talking about the Mariners. They just acquired Randy Arozarena in a trade, and I think he's a huge spark plug for a team, especially in September. He performs well under the bright lights. So I'm going to go with the Mariners, and I also would just love to see that fan base in Seattle be able to see their team make a deep playoff run because we know the history there, right? And how much they're just pining for that all over the city. So I'm going to go with the Mariners. But that's one of my favorite questions people ask me this time of year.
The atmosphere in Seattle baseball playoff games is unbelievable. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
unreal.
It feels like a college football game. I remember the first time I attended a playoff game there, I'm like, when do these people shut up and sit down? And it was like the fourth inning, and they didn't. And it's just, it really, that fan base is super energized. And you're right, I have to agree with that. I think that Arozarena move, it was one that I think made some ripples at the time, but we may look back on that if they're able to make a deep run and say, yeah, that's how you bolster your team's chances. The Rangers at the deadline last year did that. They made some really nice moves. They took a good team and they became a great team. Last question for you. If you were the marketing manager of Major League Baseball and they came to you and they said, Tricia, I want to know right now, we're gonna buy a 100-foot billboard and we're going to put it in Times Square, and it cannot be a New York Yankees player because obviously location. Who are you putting on that 100-foot billboard? Who is the face of Major League Baseball right now?
I don't know if he's the face of Major League Baseball right now, but I know that he should be more of the face of Major League Baseball, and I'm going to go with Ellie De La Cruz. I love watching him play the game. I know, it's the Reds. It is a small market. I get it. But Ellie De La Cruz and the way that kid plays the game and what I feel like he's done for the game since he's gotten called up has been really, really cool to watch. He's not only he can be a face for the game in so many different areas, right? He's learning English. He's bilingual, which I think is really, really cool. So he appeals to a huge, huge fan base. Watching him on the bases is so much fun. I went to the Reds game on Sunday, and we're just sitting there in the stands. He's at third base, and we are just pining for him to steal home. Right? I love that type of player because he's a dynamic player. He engages with the fans, and he engages with every kind of fan. And I would put him, if you're not allowing me to put somebody like Aaron Judge or Juan Soto on the billboard, which they don't need any more publicity. They get a lot of it. I would choose Ellie De La Cruz because I think he's the future. He's one of the big pieces of the future of this game.
Yeah, I would have said Shohei Ohtani, but after hearing your answer, I'm changing my answer.
Everybody knows him.
Yeah. Well, no, but now remember, I wasn't saying a player that you want to market to become bigger. I'm saying who is the face of the sport. And I still think Shohei is the guy that I will watch no matter what, whether he's pitching or hitting.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. If your question is who's the face of the sport, then yeah, it's Shohei Ohtani.
But I have to say, I like your answer. I like your answer because I found myself this year watching Reds games that I normally wouldn't watch, and the only reason I'm watching is because of him. And like you said,
exactly.
I root for him to get to third base. I really do. Because I want to see the drama unfold. Is he going to go? How is the pitcher changing his move to home plate, knowing that there's a guy that, even though it's a lost start in baseball, might swipe home? I love it.
That type of speed is I think what the game needs a little bit more of. We talked about Randy Arozarena a second ago. I'll never forget when he stole home in the playoffs against the Red Sox at Tropicana Field. And you know that Tropicana Field, it's not usually the loudest place in the entire world, but oh my gosh, the roof almost blew off that place. And it's so good for the game. It's so fun to watch. And players like Ellie De La Cruz who embrace that. And, they're trying to appeal to a ton of fan bases that he's showing off, his English skills. And it's so cool to watch. And I love it. So I know you said who's the face of the game, but I'm still going to stick with Ellie De La Cruz.
I like your answer. And by the way, he's one of those guys it's really hard to root against. Even when the Guardians were playing the Reds, I'm like, God, I really find myself liking and rooting for this guy because he's that kind of guy. Trish, we'll be watching tonight. Thanks for coming on.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
To her point, Ellie is AJ's favorite player. My son loves
I know
Ellie.
the kids, what the Little League games are on right now, and when they always have the kids walk up, a lot of guys are saying Ellie De La Cruz because he is just that kind of guy that brings excitement to the sport. And let's face it, baseball can use a couple of him.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because typically it's not the most exciting sport.
Yeah.
I got one